Alright, good evening. I want to do Chapter 8. I want to go through this a little bit differently than I did in class. And we're going to take a look at some specific types of questions. Alright, so first of all, these are some worksheets that we're going to have eventually, so you'll recognize these in the future. A couple of key concepts from 8.1. Without graphing, find the slope and the vertical intercept of the line that's given. Alright, well, we said that we have y equals mx plus b, where this was the slope and this was the y-intercept. In other words, the vertical intercept is another word we've heard. So when looking at this, we have a slope of 9, that's the slope, and a vertical intercept of 5. Number 2, we have a slope of -8 and a vertical intercept of 7. Now here the order's changed. So pay close attention to the fact that the slope is the number with the x. So if I rewrote it this way, we know that the slope is -4.6 and the vertical intercept is 10. Let's take a look at the next question down here. Find the slope and vertical intercept from a graph. Here's your y-axis. So it crosses the y-axis at 2. So 2, in this case, is the vertical intercept. And the slope, well, if we go from, it doesn't matter which one you choose, if I go from here to here, I go up 2 to the right 2, or I could have gone up 1 and over 1 even, and it would have been fine. In this case, the slope is 1. Now if we want to write an equation from this information, then we would just say y equals the slope, which we said is 1, and the y-intercept, which is 2. For 15, we have a y-intercept of 3, goes up 3 there. Okay, so we would say y equals, what's the slope? Well, if we go from here, the y-intercept, to the next point where it crosses across here, which is here, I'd go down 1 to the right 2. So down 1 means negative, to the right 2 is positive. So we'd say y equals -1/2 x, and the y-intercept we said was 3, so plus 3. I'm going through these quickly, but I want to cover the 3 lessons in a better way than I did today. Find 3 solutions of each equation. Alright, this is like some of your questions. Well, finding solutions is when you take XY chart and plug in some numbers. So if we plug in -1, 0, and 1 into this equation, let's see what happens. If we plug in -1 in, we get 2 times -1 plus y equals 7. So 2 times -1 is -2 plus y equals 7. If we add 2 to both sides, we get y equals 9. So that's one solution. Plug in a 0. We plug in a 0 for x. 2 times 0 is 0, so we get y equals 7. That's another solution. Plug in a positive 1, and we get 2 times a positive 1 plus y equals 7. 2 plus y equals 7. So in this case, we'd subtract 2, so y would equal 5. And that's another solution. So there's 3 of them. Write into the equation in slope-intercept form. Alright, we talked about this. If it's slope-intercept form, it means it is y equals. So in this case, we would subtract 4x from both sides and get y equals -4x plus 13. And that would be your answer in slope-intercept form. Find the intercepts of the graph of each equation. Intercepts are when x equals 0 and when y equals 0. So if we plug in 0 for x, we'll get 3y equals negative 3. Divide both sides by 3, and y will equal negative 1. That would be the coordinate then, 0 for x, negative 1 for y. If we graph it, 0, negative 1 is down here. This is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. That is the vertical intercept. If we plug in 0 for y instead, we get x plus 3 times 0 equals negative 3. 3 times 0 is 0, and you get x equals negative 3. So that coordinate is negative 3 for x and 0 for y. That would be this coordinate. So that one would be called the x-intercept. Alright, let's take a look at 8.3. Here we talked about vertical and horizontal lines. Find the slope of each line. And we said that when it's vertical or horizontal, it's either going to be a slope of 0 or undefined. Now, when it was a slope of 0, we said that it was flat or horizontal. When it was undefined, we said it was a vertical line. And we would write those equations like this. If it was horizontal, we'd say y equals something. And if it was vertical, we'd say x equals something. So this one is vertical, which means it's going to be of the form x equals something. And if you notice, it crosses the x-axis at 2, so it would be x equals 2. This one crosses the y-axis, so it's going to be, and it's horizontal, so it's y equals, and the value of 3. Alright? Graph each equation and find the slope of each line. Alright, well, y equals negative 2. So y-axis, find negative 2, plot a point, and it would be like that. If it's flat, the slope is 0. Alright, here we have x equals 1.5. So we find x, find 1.5, which would be in between 1 and 2, and that is a vertical line. Vertical line has a slope of, which should be parallel to this, sorry. The slope is 0, or excuse me, undefined. Alright, now here, the line, write an equation for this. A line with undefined slope and goes through this point. Now, undefined slope means it's going to be vertical. And it goes through 8, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and negative 6. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It goes through this point. It has to be vertical because it's undefined slope. Therefore, it's going to be of the form x equals, and it is 8. Okay, so this is a basic, quick way of doing the questions we did today. I went off on some more difficult questions. Don't worry about those things if you struggled with it. This is kind of the core essence of lessons 8, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I know I went fast, but you can pause it and rewind. Hopefully that might help you get through your assignment. And good luck.